Hello, 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 and welcome to LRGA Curves today, y'all. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Thanks for tuning in to LRGA Curves today. I'm LRGA Curves, and you are here with me today to talk about, oh, what's good, Lauren? Thanks for coming through. I appreciate that, darling. Toddy Vision. No way. My sister from another mister, right here, coming to us straight from her wonderful state of Nevadas. That's right, darling. I'm so glad you're here. Oh my gosh. What does it say? Oh, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I needed a background today. I decided to be grateful. I took a tumble. I tumble for ya. I tumble for you. I took a tumble on my bike today. But that's how I christen new bikes. It was brand new. That's how I christen new bikes. I take a little tumble, you know. But yes, awesome. You can hear me. Let's go. That's right. That's right. Okay, you guys. So on your way in, thank you. Thank you. You know, I've been doing my thing. You can tell a little bit that I've been doing my thing. Remember I told you I was going on that liquid fast thing? Yeah. Well, I've had my ups and I have my downs, but so far we lost 18 pounds. And so yes, I'm feeling good. I'm looking good. My skin, I have to do so much water. I feel like my skin is glowing really good, nicely. But yeah, thank you. I love you. So let's see. Oh my gosh. It's all that water. I do at least 70 ounces of water a day, at least. Plus, all my food is liquid. Well, I do get a bar. Oh, I can't show you the bar. But they have like these little protein bars that you can eat. Anyway, so on your way in, you guys, smash that like button and smash that subscribe button. You know how much I like smashing, okay? So if you can smash my buttons on the way in and ring my bell so you can get notified next time I upload a video, and so you can become part of this beautiful curvy community that we're growing in these YouTube streets. All right, all right. Right on, Lauren. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was feeling okay today. Like I said, at the time my knee is hurt and my shoulder was hot but at least I didn't get like my skin removed. It was that kind of fall. Like it felt like my skin should have been gone. But it didn't happen. Oh, you had jaw surgery and had to be on liquid diet? Lost a lot of weight. I know, right? Sometimes you're like, I want to live and I don't want to be that sick, God, but can a sister like get a stomach flu or something? Like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't really wish for that. I don't really wish for that. But yeah, you can lose a lot of weight having to have your freaking mouth wired shut. Definitely. And people used to pay good money for that too. They would give. Now I would see, because I grew up in this, and that was an entire thing where girls would have their mouths wired shut so that they couldn't eat. Oh my gosh. And I saw, it was kind of below deck or something, or out to the Mediterranean Sea or something like that, where they had a guest who had done something to her jaw and needed everything liquid, but didn't just want it soup. She wanted the man to like cook gourmet course meals, and she wanted all of her entrees in liquid form. Remember that? It was so weird. Like he couldn't, she didn't want to be different than the other people. So he wasn't allowed to just serve her lobster bisque every meal. Like he had to come up with these things and then strain it in a way that she was able to capture the flavor without all the fibers and stuff. He went through a lot, that one. I don't know what their tip was, but I sure hope it was worth it. Yes, you wouldn't wish it on anyone, right? You remember Tammy Roman did? Yes, Tammy Roman wired her jaw shut on The Real World. And you know, body dysmorphia is real, you guys. Like, however big you think you are in your mind, you're that big. However small you think you are in your mind, that's how small you are. You know what I mean? And like to us, Tammy, looking back, Tammy wasn't big. She wasn't big in that time. But in her mind, she saw herself big. So she's still struggling with it. Shout out to Tammy Roman, praying for her to get through her struggles. Rachel had to do this. Oh, Rachel had to do it too, huh? Was it Rachel? I thought it was a guy that had to do it on the series that I watched. I thought it was a guy chef who, or maybe it was Rachel. Maybe it was. She has the red hair, right? Maybe it was Rachel, because I only watched a couple seasons. And so Rachel was definitely the cook one of the times I watched. And Raina was on, was it the Raina tour? I don't know. Anyway, yes. So why don't we get started? So you know what we're here to talk about, y'all. You know what we are here to talk about. Done a couple of videos on the mess over at Vanderpump Rules. I was a naysayer when Scandival first broke. I was like, oh, not Tom, not Raquel. And if I'm wrong, I'll eat crow. Well, no, that's a chicken. Yeah, I'm eating crow, y'all, because as it turned out, it was Raquel and it was Tom who were banging. Yeah. So Scandival was real, as we saw. Then after Scandival happened, we had the reunion. And then at the reunion on Vanderpump Rules, we had, after the reunion, she was absconded away, and she being Rachel, now she wants to be called Rachel. She's back to her senses, and she doesn't want to, anyway, that was in part one of the interview with Bethany Frankel. So I'm all over the place. Let's come back to center. I have notes and everything. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, we're here. Okay, so she went away to treatment. However, people were speculating that her treatment was a spa, or that she had some type of issue, or it was some type of rehab or something like that. Everybody was saying things that weren't true. So in part one of the interview, a lot of light was shed on Vanderpump Rules. Yes, today's topic, Vanderpump Rules, the interview between Bethany Frankel and Rachel Leviis. Now, it's going to take me a minute to stop calling her Raquel, because I was one of the ones who she was like, she wanted people to call Raquel. Call her Raquel. I was saying that. So now I even have to switch it, because in this interview, she let us know that she wants to be called Rachel. She picked the name Raquel when she was in the first grade. And she wanted to be special. But now she just wants to be Rachel. Okay? Yes. Rachel liquefied the food for a female charter guest. Yes, that was Rachel. Yes, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. Never get tired of talking about Scandival. Oh, right. Yes, that's what we're here for. So, after Rachel went missing, nobody got a word. She hardly got to say anything at the reunion. If you remember, she hardly got to say anything at the reunion, right? And then she gets whisked away. No phone, no contact, gets her treatment. They end up extending her stay an extra 60 days, you guys. She was only supposed to have to be for 3 days, 30 days rather, 30. And she ended up staying an extra 60 days, making a 90-day stay at this retreat to deal with, why was she picking these kind of men? Why does she do this to herself? Why would she have ever agreed to be a liar face with Tom Sandoval, of all people, in this group of friends that she had been around for the last 5 years, right? So after Bethany Frankel and Rachel Leviis had part one of the interview, it was oh my gosh, the internet blew up. The Bravo sphere is on fire. All our tongues are wagging. It's on everybody's lips. Oh my God. Oh my God. And we all have thoughts. Okay. And I already told y'all that stuff that's in our mind, we can sometimes believe it. We already talked about that, right? So, she gets on this interview and she's speaking her truth. And I personally believe that it was her truth, and she's entitled to that. And I only wanted to hear what she had to say. I feel like Bethany asked great questions as a person inside the Bravo sphere. I don't really see that she had to have been watching VPR for the entire, series. I don't feel like that is a component of being a good interviewer. Like, I don't think that people that want to interview a movie star literally go back and watch every movie that the person did. No, they like watch one or two, and then they're like, okay, let's read up on the person, and then they go for it, But there was a lot of talk about using Rachel also. I don't feel like she was being used. I feel like it was mutually beneficial. Mutually beneficial for Rachel and Bethany to come together on this platform, because it's like, where else was she going to do it? And who are we to say who she talks to? That's the other part. I'm like, we're like, all I wanted to do was hear her side of the story. I didn't really care who she told it to. Just like when Tom Sandoval finally went on and talked to Howie Mandel, of all people, about his side of the Scandoval thing. I didn't care it was Howie. I didn't care Howie didn't watch the show. I cared that Tom was talking and that Lala wasn't there to interrupt. That's what I cared about. So, like, I don't know. I'm just weird like that, Now, in part 2, we start. I actually have notes, you guys, because this is going to be an interview review for part 2 and part 3 of the Bethany Frankel, Rachel Leviis interview podcast that Bethany claims is number 1 in the world right now. It's number 1 in the world. It's 1. And actually, people are very quick to point out that no, that would still be that other dude, or Seth Rogen, or I don't know. I don't know his name. Somebody's over her though. Believe it. They were waiting to let Bethany know somebody's over her podcast. But it's just 1 slot over her podcast. So that's technically almost number 1, y'all. When there's a bajillion spots in the podcast world to hold, and Bethany Frankel is number 2, right after this, whoever this guy is. Yeah, it was definitely mutual beneficial. Definitely. She decided to go back to being called Rachel because people in the media and on social media were calling her Rachel as a diss. Now calling her Rachel is not a diss. That's not what she said, but I understand that that's an easy thing to think. I respectfully disagree. Rachel should have been interviewed by someone who is a fan of the show. I don't know. I don't think you have to be a fan to ask a great question. I don't really think you have to be a fan to let a person speak their truth, when this didn't even have to be show specific. Like, I wanted to find out what had really went on that we didn't see on the show. And a person that hasn't seen the show might be asking some questions that us as show viewers might even miss because we're so focused on like one thing in the show that we want to see. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making sense. I don't know. Yes, it was a scandal. So Tottie's here, you guys. Let's explain to Tottie what happened. I don't know if I have my graphic anymore. I used to have a graphic of Scandoval. Okay, so Vanderpump Rules is in Los Angeles. It's a restaurant bar, right? And it's also featured on Bravo. Like how Candy's Chicken and Waffle Place is featured on Bravo, this restaurant is featured on Bravo, right? So at the restaurant, the whole thing is based off of all these young people who work together. They're in their like 20s. Well, most of the people in their 20s. But now they're in their 30s. So, yeah, because it's been on 10 seasons, going on 11. So the show is based around alcohol, hooking up with random people, hooking up with people hooked up with, and hooking up with people who are currently going out with people and lots of alcohol's involved because they work at a bar in a restaurant. Then when they're off, they all go skinny dipping together and dancing together and travel together. And then when they're at work, they're like mad that the other one found out about whatever. But the culture of this, let me tell you this too, Toddy. just in case you didn't know. The show, Vanderpump Rules, like the very first episode of the show, is a show because one of the waitresses was screwing Brandy Glanville's husband for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So they used it as an arc episode to create and springboard. This show was springboarded off of a whore's back. Yes, I call home wrecking people whores. I'm sorry. It's a word that just pops out of my mouth. For nice purposes, I might say whores. That's a 2-syllable version of the same word, whores. Whores. So it was literally incepted and projected and catapulted off of a conversation between a wife who was being cheated on with kids. She got 2 kids. She had 2 kids, y'all. And the mistress who was sitting in Sir Restaurant talking about, he loved me. He loved me. I don't care what you said. He loved me. Showing zero remorse to this whole entire wife with kids. Zero remorse. She was practically Erica Jane singing, how many F's do I give? 0, 0, 0, none. Not one. Is how the show started 10 years ago. So just keep that right back here in the back, in the biggity back of your mind when we're breaking this scandal down, okay? So just keep that hovering, that the show is created off of cheating, husband stealing, family wrecking whores. The first episode. And then all the subsequent episodes were pretty much Jax gets more ass than a toilet seat and is a womanizer. And then we had Kristen Doty, who was obviously abusing, liked to drink. I'm not going to say abusing. All I saw was a girl that liked to drink, okay? And then she had a little friend, Stassi, and a little friend, Katie, and they used to get drunk and be mean girls to everybody else at the restaurant while they were all banging each other's men in the back. Well, that was mostly Kristen because Katie was with Tom Schwartzy most of this time. But Schwartzy also, even though he was with Katie, loves to go make out and tongue wag with other people. And that's his kryptonite, is being away from Katie and finding another mouth to play tongue hockey with. And then we have Katie, who's the proverbial dark cloud. Did you ever see that movie about freaking emotions? And it has the one that's always sitting in the back and, oh no, it's gonna rain. Oh, like Eeyore. Remember Eeyore and Winnie the Pooh? That fool was never happy. That's Katie. That's how Katie is, pretty much. And Tom had to put up with it, so he would go tongue-talky with other people. And then we also had on the show, I already mentioned Jax. Oh, Stassi. Stassi, who in the very first couple of times we meet her and her family are making obvious racial jokes at black people in the restaurant, talking about yo boys and whatever else. But she got to stay on our screens for a lot of many years until she decided to brag repeatedly about fake reports, police reports on Faith Stour, the only black cast member who was ever allowed camera time on the show repeatedly. Was Faith Stour, who was always quick to take her top off and rub titties with Lala Kent, whose IG picture when she first started was her booty cheeks and thigh gap. And then she met a man named Randall, and while she was working on the show, she meets a man who had a wife. Another husband stealing wife, wrecking home wrecker. She met him, banged him the first night, got a Range Rover the next day. You guys! So there's been scandals, Toddy. Lots and lots of scandals. Okay? So the whole show is just like littered. It's a freaking minefield of morals, degenerate morals, and whatever else. The show's inception and continuation throughout its whole entirety has been cheating, lying, hookers, and whores, okay? Psych. Psych. That's just a pigeons. Where's my freaking banner? Allegedly. There we go. Allegedly. That's just what I saw. I mean, to me, when somebody steals somebody's husband and then you find out he married and all you do is tell the lady, he loved me. No remorse. And that's how the show was formed. So then we get this girl called Rachel and a DJ called James. And James was already at the restaurant, but then he decided the only way he could get camera time was if he started banging Tom's girlfriend, Kristen, who had just broke up with him, so he could start having some camera time. And he's admitted to that very many times, that that's exactly his thought process to get on our camera, was to use this woman. Okay. And then he ends up having another little, I don't know if it's a problem or not, but that fool liked to drink to the point where everybody like, are you drinking? I don't think you should drink. And he's like, no, I'm sober. I've been sober for 24 hours. I haven't had a drink in 48 hours. I'm not going to let you control me and tell me when I can drink. I'm not going to take any ultimatums from you about me drinking anymore. That was my James impersonation. So anyway, James is the DJ, right? And obviously he's from England or something like that. He has this English accent going on all the day. Anyway, so here he comes and he banged Kristen. In the meantime, Jax, who was supposed to be Stassi's, Jax was supposed to be Stassi's live-in boyfriend, but he was so busy living between other women's thighs, they had to break up. When one of the set of thighs included her best friend, the WeHo, Kristen Doty. So then they had gotten a fight and she finally broke up with that fool. But then of course, girls being girls, they ended up fast friends again. All forgiven. Continue to film the show. Lala can't home wrecking. All forgiven. Continue to film the show. Nobody even did this. That's blink twice. Nobody even blinked twice at those fools. Stealing all those men, stealing all those husbands. Didn't even blink twice. So then we get this girl, Rachel. And she said she was going through a DJ phase. She ends up getting to be James's long distance girlfriend. The first 2 years she was on, she would do pop-ups. Very innocent seeming. Always came off nice, kind, quiet, naive, like super, like just like pure innocence. Super nice. Like, yeah, the environment from day one was not complimentary to a personality like this girl. Because she wasn't trying to steal nobody's nothing. She wasn't trying to smash nobody's man. She wasn't trying to do all that. Okay? And when these other girls who have done those things would be confronted with this innocence, they would see it as weakness and just start tearing her down and call her names and just treat her horrible. They treated her horrible. For her to have been on this show, it was a very hostile work environment. As a viewer, that's what I witnessed. A very hostile work environment was going on in Vanderpump Rules for a number of people, including Faith Stour. And then Rachel came. So Rachel, on the show, she was Raquel. She ends up moving in finally with James. They lived together for 3 years. They were long distance for 2, so they went out together for 5 years together. Kristen and Tom went out for 5 years together. They were living together when Tom found out that his best friend Jax had smashed Kristen repeatedly in his living room on their couch while he was sleeping in the other room after a day of day drinking, I guess. Like, who's not, unless the boning is that bad that you're not making a single sound. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm just imagining drunk, sloppy sex, you know? Anyway, so they end up falling out, and simultaneously, Kristen was like, "Are you cheating on me? I heard that you were kissing somebody else." Da, da, da. And it ended up being this girl named Ariana. Ariana entered stage left. Ariana entered stage left on Tom's peen. Tom Sandoval's peen, who was still going out with Kristen at the time, who had previously smashed Jax, but they didn't know that all the way. And then by the time they found it out, it was like, oh, we were breaking up anyway. Kristen's a bad person. All this other stuff. Ariana was also working at the restaurant. I don't know if she pulled a James. She never admitted to pulling a James. She never admitted that, oh, I started boning Tom Sandoval to get camera time because she's mysteriously ended up at a reunion that year. We went from seeing her zero. We never even seen her in the background. She wasn't even an extra. To all of a sudden, you at a reunion sitting right next to Tom, scoffing at Kristen when she was like mad that you two were sitting next to each other at the reunion. So just keep all this stuff in your mind, because this is all the past. And a lot of the times you would say history repeats itself and that the past is an indicator of what is acceptable in the future. Sometimes you could think that, and this would be a time. So then finally James ends up torturing poor Rachel out of his life. They were engaged, and he was just horrible to her on the show. I mean, it's documented, you guys. He had smushed her face one time and she needed a nose job, or right after a nose job, and made it crooked or something like that. And then he was just, and he was, there's allegedly DV between him and Kristen. I mean, I could swear they were at that wedding for Sheena Shea and they had a little tussle in the parking lot or something. And everybody's like, yeah, she pushed him. She pushed him. Yeah. What has he done to her though? What has he done to her? Okay. Okay. Team, keep your hands to yourself. And what has he done to her? All right. So then Rachel and James break up just before this last season. So this season 10 of Vanderpump Rules was the first time that we were seeing Rachel single, and how she was supposed to still maneuver in this group, that they had all been treating her bad the whole time. Nobody in this group was her friend. Nobody in this group appeared to be her friend the entire time. And then it almost kind of looked like they were just taken up for her after she finally broke away from James, because they had all encouraged her to break up from James many times. So I could see them rallying around her after they finally see she took their advice, right? So they were rallying. They were like, oh, you're still in our friend group. You're still on the show, spending time with her. She's getting camera time, season 10. And she was doing a lot of hanging out with Tom Sandoval and Ariana. Like a third wheel. Like Stassi was a third wheel when Katie and Tom got married and she went on the honeymoon with them. Yeah, I knew then it wasn't going to last. But anybody else who thinks that Tom is the problem, I'd say that allowing another woman on your honeymoon with you, your best friend, might have been the first problem you had in your marriage. Sorry, not sorry. Don't do that. And that was Ariana's problem too. How are you? So then we get to season 10. Okay, and that's where all the scandal stuff happens. The season opens with Ariana saying, oh, me and Tom lost some of our intimacy. We're not doing the things that we used to do. The way I get frisky is from us doing stuff. I used to ride on his handlebars and we would just go experience things together. We haven't been doing that, and I need to do that to feel connected. And if we don't, then I don't want to do it. And da 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 da. Like she said that during the season on the show. And in the meantime, Tom is starting a cover band and opening a restaurant, and all of a sudden doing a lot of taking up for Rachel. Okay, so as it turned out, he had started taking up for Rachel because Rachel was his boo thing, y'all. Raquel Leviis was his boo thing on the side, and positioned her within the relationship with Ariana where it felt and appeared to us as viewers, not to me, because I didn't think her and Ariana was friends ever, but to a lot of people, it appeared that they were just like three best friends. And no, that must be Ariana's friend, because it's not Tom's friend. It must be Ariana's friend. But what Raquel is telling us is that, no, y'all, it's only Tom's friend. I've never even been out with Ariana by myself. I've been out with Tom by myself, but I've never been out with Ariana by myself. Not a drink, not a bite to eat, not a salad crisp, not a watercress, not a Tic Tac, nothing. But with Tom, we went out and kicked it a number of times. I felt heard, I felt seen, I felt understood, and he just happened to have a girlfriend that was around, but I was around Tom, who happened to be around his girlfriend, but she wasn't my friend, is what she said in these interviews. And I believe her. Because I kept on saying these people, they never treated her nice. And even if you just hang around somebody after they broke up with your boyfriend, if you really hang out with the person, then they would have been doing other stuff together. In my opinion, I don't know. Let me see. So let's look at these comments before we get all the way into everything. I love you guys came through. It looks like Shay B. Are you sitting on the porch, Shay B? I love it. Thanks for coming through. Oh my gosh. Morgan D's in the house. Mutually beneficial. Yep. You read that's why she went back to Rachel. Oh, see, I didn't even hear anything I just been listening to her about why she went back to Rachel. You know what I mean? And that's the other thing with all of these interviews. It's super duper interesting to me that we haven't heard from the girl for a very long time. And now we finally hear from her. And nobody's willing to just let her truth be her truth. And there are many current situations in society where we're constantly yelling from rooftops to let people's truth be their truth. But when somebody sits down and talks to another person for 2 hours and throughout the whole 2 hours says, this is my truth, this is how I feel, this is what I went through, this is my experience, this is me, me, then I'm not sure why people are very reluctant to believe her on a show full of liars, cheaters, and who rest. I mean, what makes her less believable than believing Ariana might have known about it, or believing Tom lied to her, or believing, you know what I mean? Like, it's very interesting to me, just the pile on this girl has gone through too. And you already know about me. I'm not trying to take up for craziness. I'm just recognizing that there's definitely more to the story than even we get to see, because we weren't there for everything. The show was edited. The show is kind of scripted with production, not full on, here's your script, read your line, but it's like influenced by production. And people were always saying that, oh, Rachel doesn't have a thought of her own and this, that, and the other. But none of them really have thoughts of their own, because production is always in their ear, encouraging them to do some stupid ass stuff that's going to make good television for us. So I heard Rachel say the reason she went back to Rachel was because in therapy, she discovered that Rachel was a persona, and that almost it was that allowed her to become the liar that she was for season 10 during that affair with Sandoval. That's what she said. Bethany asked, yeah, good questions to me too. Exactly. I didn't think Bethany asked good questions. And that's the other thing. Like, I would love to know what a better question would have been. Because we got the timeline. We got that it was how long it had been happening. It had been happening for 7 months. We got that why it happened. We got pretty much everything. I mean, I'm not sure what else you would have wanted, because I have more questions, but I think she asked good questions. but I have more questions. You know what I mean? Yeah, I got you. Good. Hi, Morgan. Hi, Lauren. Hi, beautiful friend. Hey, Shay. I remember that episode where together from the end of RH, yep, from the end of RH, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, into the beginning of Vanderpump Rules. Yes, Eddie lied to Sheena. He said he was going through a divorce, and Tom lied to Rachel and said they were a brand and that they weren't really getting it in like that, and they weren't like that. So men lie. I mean, that's an obvious thing. But Sheena ultimately was accepted into the group and stuff. Hi. Randall lied to Lala. Sandoval lied to Ariana. Yep. It's all these lying. Tina was a black cast member season 1 and sang at Sheena's first wedding. Oh, Tina. Sang it. I'm going to have to go back to season 1 because I do not remember Tina's ass. I remember Sheena's first wedding. Yeah. They have all cheated with the they have all cheated with the exception of a couple of the castmates. It was genius to do a backdoor pilot to Vanderpump Rules from Beverly Hills. And I'm saying, yeah, I'm acknowledging it was genius. And I'm acknowledging that the show is based off of being a whore, being a home wrecker, without remorse. The way the show was started was with a home wrecking side chick having zero remorse with the wife, and then they just start this show. So the reason that's very important to me in this whole talk with Rachel is that there's been so much backlash against Rachel for something the show was literally founded on. Are you getting like that? Like that's what I mean. Like this, like, why is there so much backlash when the show's inception and continuation have all had this thread of disrespecting solid relationships? I agree. The show's very messy. That was how Lisa pitched the show to Bravo. Yeah, she was like, oh, I can get you this, that, and the other. Katie and Stassi didn't cheat. Katie didn't cheat, and Stassi didn't cheat. No, Stassi just called the police on Faith and made stuff up about that. And Katie is just a super duper mean person and mean drunk. That's all. But she didn't cheat. But yeah, she didn't do that. Stassi did cheat with the guy from season 1 or season 2. She was in a relationship with him after that. Oh yeah, that dude did come in the thing. But was that after she found out? No, it was around the same time when they were taking some time apart, maybe. She did start smashing that blonde hair dude. But so was Jax was blonde hair. But okay, so the blonde hair dude without that vein in the middle of his forehead, that's who Morgan D is talking about. Lala was arrogant when she bragged about getting the Range Rover and flying on private jets. Exactly, Lauren. And remember, she had all of them sign NDAs so they could hang out and party with them. It was all praised. Nobody looked down on it. Nobody looked anything. They just kept it all moving. Morgan, I thought she broke up with Jax immediately and then started seeing Frank. Ariana was doing too much with Rachel, in my opinion. I feel like that too. Way too much. Especially because she did the same thing to Kristen that Rachel did to her. I was like, ooh, how quickly you forget. Ariana was Sheena's backup dancer in season 1. Oh, cute. Cute. Lauren, it was an overlap, which I understand because Jax is trash, but she's a cheater by definition. The cast should be thanking Rachel, but because the show was about to get canceled. That's what she did say that in this interview. We're going to get to that. During the season 9, when Rachel gave James back her engagement ring on camera, that was cold. That was good. I'm glad she did it though. I read season 9 was supposed to be the last season, but so much happened they did a season 10. My main thing is the castmates can't give Rachel the smoke because they have done the same thing. That's my main thing too. How dare Lala go and make all these Instagram lives? How dare she get merch? How dare Sheena Shea get in on it and make that song APPPELES or whatever? How dare she? Did anybody make her a song about you being a home wrecking whore? No. That's what it should have said. I used to be a home wrecking whore and now you're the same. And I should forgive you because you're me with another name. I don't know what she could have done, but making a song like that, it was a complete diss track. Like, how much further are they going to go at the expense of this girl's reputation for the same things that they've done? And it's not an excuse, it's a fact. And it's a logical question to me because people are like, oh, it's an excuse if you want to bring up the past. Yeah, because it's repeating itself. So now what's the problem? The entire show was built off of that. Everybody's done the same thing. And even if Stassi and Katie didn't cheat, they weren't the ones going out with Ariana. They weren't the ones going out with Tom. It's none of their business. None of their business. Oh, they liked Ariana that much. She was their friend that much. Really? Was she? Or was Ariana kind of Tom's girlfriend and over there? And she was always usually going through her whole own depression stuff too. Honestly, you guys, I agree with this statement, Morgan. Bethany should have pressed for more details about her time in the facility. What else would you wanted to know about? Like, okay, so in the facility, she went into her mind. They went into the 5 something of something, the levels of this, and then they didn't remember a thing. She was there for 9 months. I mean, for 3 months. And that's probably really super duper personal information, I would imagine. I don't know. It's good, Satra. I'm so glad you're here. You don't watch the show. Thank you. I appreciate you. The show also is about the incestuous relationship in the group. Yes. Hello, Satra. I stopped watching the show a while ago after Faith came out saying, yep. And I had stopped too. And then I started back. I think it was season 9, I want to say. I started back. Faith said that a while ago, and then it came back up again. Yeah, recently. She still has the GoFundMe up on her page right now. Faith has a GoFundMe up on her page because she wants to sue Stassi so that she can, because she put it in the book. She got canceled for calling the police on Faith, bragged about it on her podcast, got fired from the show, lost her podcast, gave a fake apology, went radio silent for 2 years, which is the norm for a racist. You only have to be quiet for a good 18 to 24 months, and then you put your head back up and see if it's okay. And it was okay enough for her to write a book. And now she's writing another book, and in this current book, it brings up what she did to Faith as an affirmative statement, not as a and it was a lie statement. So Faith was suing and she wanted to get some help with that. It was gross that the cast made merchandise about Scandalfall, cashing in on it. That's what's really gross, Lauren. Isn't that horrible? Could you imagine if they would have made a t-shirt about Randall and Lala, or what that would have caused, or anything. That was just... And it was about something so important, like the cease and desist. The whole send it to Daryl shirt that Lala made. She made that shirt, and it was like taking that cease and desist and wiping her butt with it and made a shirt instead. That's how I know that tape is everywhere. I believe her. I read Ariana's closest friends are not the people on the show. Yeah. It's none of her business, in my opinion. Hi, Lauren. Stassi and her family are very racist. Yes, we've talked about that before. Yes. And they're dusting her off, though. Leave it to Bravo. Ooh, they're going to get allergies over there. They keep dusting off all these racist and problematic people instead of giving people their real jobs back and respecting people and paying people what they're worth. The reckoning is happening. So, okay, you guys, I did a lot of talking already. Now we're going to hurry up and go through it. So in part 2 of the reunion, Sheena definitely assaulted Rachel. So that was a lie when Sheena was like, I did not hit you. I did not hit you. But remember how scared she got when Tom started affirming that Raquel was actually hit by Sheena, and she was looking and darting her eyes all over like, you can't shut him up. You can't shut him up. Oh my God. Oh my God. And that's why she cried with such relief when she got the restraining order, because she knows she had no right to not only assault that girl, push her up against the wall, hit her in her face, and then throw her phone, y'all. That's what she did. And then called Ariana and bragged about, yeah, I just kicked her. I just hit her. Yeah. I just bragged to Ariana about assaulting her, and Tom overheard it. And about 4 minutes into part 2 of the reunion, she admitted that when she signed up for reality TV, she thought that it was going to be fun, you guys. She did it because it was outside of her comfort zone. At 4 minutes and 45 seconds in part 2, she said that the betrayal from Tom, with him screen recording her without her consent or permission, was obviously she couldn't trust privacy. And when she asked Tom why he would have done something like that, he'd used that weird line about, I just wanted to show you how beautiful you were. And she also said at 5 minutes and 40 seconds in that Tom was mad because he looked bad when they picked up cameras after Watch What Happens Live and everything. That's the night everything blew up. Filming had wrapped. They were only waiting for the reunion. They picked the cameras back up because they find out about Scandival. That scene where Tom and Rachel were at her house. We're at her house with the remember she had the galaxy light on and he walked in and it was kind of really awkward and everything, and they finally sat down and he's like, can you turn off a light? Well, in that scene, as it turns out, he was confronted by Rachel on film with the cameras rolling, you guys. With the cameras rolling. Because mind you, when Sheena hurt her and when Ariana found the phone at the concert, the cameras were down. They had pretty much wrapped. The only reason Rachel was in New York for Watch What Happens Live was with Sheena to promote the season. Okay? That's the only reason they were there. So there was no cameras following them there. So there were no cameras present while they were at this work event. That's still work though. You're there to promote your work show. That's work. So she got assaulted while she was at work by a fellow cast member, you guys. I mean, I can make it go really deep and hairy for you, but that's also part of this. So anyway, Tom was mad because he looked bad on camera when confronted by Rachel on film when she asked, how could you video me without my consent while the cameras were rolling? He got all weird and quiet. He finished the scene and then demanded that it be cut out or else he wasn't going to shoot anything else. All I can say is, you guys, did we see that in the show? No, because they protected Tom and this scenario where Tom was protected. That's such a Bravo thing to do. Just protect another freaking criminal. I mean, what are they going to do? Have another party with her and maybe Erica Girardi can fund his party? Or maybe, Jen Shaw. No, never mind. Never mind, you guys. I mean, leave it to freaking Bravo, okay? To literally protect that type of pee, okay? I don't know. We're going to have to look up. Does this, when you record a person without their permission, is that a voyeur? Is that a peeping Tom? Is that a, look, and his name is Tom. I just realized I made a funny, you guys. I made a funny. Is that a peeping Tom? If you, because a peeping Tom is somebody who's looking in your windows without your permission. So if somebody's looking at you with permission, but recording you without permission, that's peeping Tomish. No pun intended. Allegedly. I would be willing to bet $1 that's against the law. You're not supposed to record other people. I mean, if you can't record a person's voice without letting them know their voice is being recorded, then you definitely can't record them finger banging themselves. Okay? Kept to show you how beautiful you were. No, fool. Because what you said was you usually delete things like that. So you've done it before and just hadn't gotten caught. And he's a star. I bet girls sending themselves jacking off all the time. Actually. Because Tom had quite the little following. But this is very creepish behavior. I bet that's all going to dwindle. Even all the people that were still standing by him and all the people that were still taking up for him and coming to see his shows and everything. This sheds an entire new light on not only Ariana, but on Tom also, who have somewhat gone unscathed in all of this, you guys. Rachel has had to pay the biggest price, not only mental health wise, but reputation wise. Yeah. So Ariana ended up with a buttload of endorsements and at least half the population of the world rooting for her. Tom ended up getting the skate by, getting the scene cut, getting all this protection. He gets his cover band tour all summer. He's making it hand over fist. The girl's cashing her checks, making sandwiches. The only person who suffered has been Rachel, you guys. But this revenge porn is a whole different thing. Not only are you not supposed to record somebody without their permission, but then if you're not a party to the video and you dispense that video to other people and then attach it to threats talking about you're dead to me, that could be seen as a threat to further disseminate the revenge porn. And why are you sending that to me? Why are you sending that to her? Obviously it's her. So why are you sending not only the film, but screenshots? So she was taking stills of it. So that means that when people say, oh, I don't have the video, what, is it all screenshots that she sent her friends? Allegedly, Ariana's friends have the tape, allegedly. And allegedly other cast members have seen the tape, allegedly. And because of that, if it wasn't the actual video, like the moving video, because I feel like people are trying to parse words now. Oh, I didn't see the video. I don't have a video. Yeah, but do you have a still of it? Because Ariana sent Rachel a still of it too. Anyway, so Bethany actually said that she's seen that demand before where you better cut that or else. At 9 minutes in, she said that Tom hasn't got the same hate. And then Bethany went into a little history that, you know, because of the Bethany clause, Tom is profiting, Bravo's profiting, Lisa's profiting, Tom Schwartz is profiting. All are for this, they're all profiting because of the show and the way that it's structured. And when Rachel went and said, okay, I'll come back if you pay me what Tom and Ariana get paid and pay for my treatment, they told her no. you guys. They're all laughing to the bank. There's been so many people in the YouTube streets and content creators also are all like so happy that Ariana's laughing to the bank. She just dropped a book. Ariana just dropped a book and called Single AF Cocktails, and the same day that part 3 got released on the 18th. And then Sheena released her song early on the 18th because they can't even let this girl have her words out of her mouth without trying to make $1 off of her, you guys. It's really nasty. It's really freaking nasty for two people that got their men the same thing that Rachel did to be making these books and dropping them on, like, that totally could have been Rachel's day. Let her get her story out. Everybody's been waiting to hear. Made Bethany's podcast #2 in the world. All of that. But no, they couldn't even let her have that. They want to go make some more money. So what do? They hurried up and ran out and dropped their stuff the same moment. As soon as she dropped part 2, they dropped their stuff so that they could stay relevant too. You guys. Okay. So let's see. And she said she almost feels like, because Tom claimed that he was offered a producer's credit for season 11, and she felt like that would have been a reward for him luring her into an affair. She didn't use the word lure, but he did take a liking to her this season all of a sudden, it seems, right? So she was wondering, was it all made up? Like, did he use me? And I would like wonder if that was something too, I guess. Because for all of them to profit but her, and for this talk of the season being canceled to have been going on, it's just very interesting. So at 12 minutes in, she said, Bethany wanted to know, was Lisa a protector? Rachel said, no one is safe in that space. It's not a safe space, and no one had her best interest at heart. Bethany mentioned selling souls to be on TV. And Kristen, that's when they started talking about how Kristen Doty talked about the tumultuous DV experience with James, and production and all them knew, and nothing was happening about that. But in the meantime, here comes Kristen Doty getting dust off, right? And she was like, was the spinoff to keep quiet? It was an honest question. Like, she said she was thinking that, so it's not a fact or anything. It was just an honest thought from Rachel. And that's when Bethany was like, yeah, they got to protect the realm at all costs. They talked about how bad behavior is rewarded in the upside down of reality. And you go from fired and canceled to spinoff from Scandival. How does that work? You were entirely fired and canceled for a good reason, and now you get a whole spinoff because of Scandival, because somebody else had another scandal. So you're like, oh, they forgot about the other one. Dust those other 2 off that were in the back. Is that what they're doing? They're trying to do like a smoke and mirrors bait and switch with us or something? But also she mentioned that sometimes on these shows, you could be offered a redemption arc and a chance to redeem yourself. But in this case, the people who were fired and canceled get to redeem themselves at Rachel's expense. That's crazy, you guys. Let's see. The ratings increased after Scandival. 11.5 million viewers, 2.5 million of those in the sweet spot of 18 to 49-year-olds. At the peak of Real Housewives of Atlanta, they never even got the sweet spot with that many numbers. And Bravo's, that means that Bravo's made millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in advertising revenue from not only the watches this season, but then there was like all all freaking almost cult activity where people went back and rewatched every season from looky-loos who wanted to see how VPR started. So that also kicked in the talk about residuals, right? So all those people, and here Rachel can't even pay for the treatment that she just went and got. But Bravo's sitting on millions. But they refuse to pay for her treatment. You know, they could just cut her a check and tell her it's not for treatment, but it could be the amount for treatment, and then she could have had that bill paid. But they're not trying to help her at all. The reunion. So then that's when Bethany reread the transcript from the reunion. Ooh, the cheese grater comments and all of that stuff. Ooh, wee. That was a long time, and it really upset Bethany a lot. She's like, you're somebody's daughter. Like, if somebody would have said this to my kid, I would, like, literally kill them. And she was, like, tearing up at even having to repeat these things that Ariana said to herself, to Rachel at the reunion. Because to me, if you got him how you lost him, then you're really projecting all this anger onto yourself, darling. I don't know. But that cheese grater comment, that was really harsh, too. Rachel said that she understands now that she's worthy, and that, you know, in that moment, though, she just didn't have any tissues or anything. Everybody was attacking her. And so she walked off. And then Andy, in the middle, after that verbal assault that we witnessed, after the verbal annihilation, after the emotional abuse that we witnessed, because everybody makes mistakes. So all of that whole entire 3 episodes of everybody tearing her to shreds was ridiculous to me. Everybody makes mistakes. And usually at reunions on shows, you give people a chance to say their piece and try to make up so you can move on to the next season. That was not present at this reunion. What was present was trying to take her skin off of her muscles while her body was still alive. Like, it was harsh to watch, you know? And nobody should really be spoken to like that. She said she had kind of like just disassociated. And a lot of people say that about her too, is that she seems a little emotionless. But if she knows how to disassociate and let your words be your words, and I'm not giving you the reaction that you want, which is really when you're talking to me about you don't have any emotions, I feel like it's really you saying that I'm not emoting the way that you want me to emote, because she had an emotion and it was nothing for us. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure what they expected from her right there. Yeah, the intention was to cause her to feel unworthy, but she said she's looking forward to living her life full of love. Did you guys know that Rachel was adopted by her aunt? She considers herself a miracle to be here on this earth, and she just doesn't accept all those horrible things that were said to her because she believes really that she's a miracle. So the story with how she would happen to be with her aunt is her mother had her. Her aunt couldn't have babies or something, so her mother let her aunt adopt her. Okay. Bethany said again that it felt subhuman the way they were talking to her, and she kind of circled back talking about, Andy wanting good TV, but who's protecting the entertainment? She went back to how he was hearkening Rachel to come back and take more abuse with no protection. Just come sit here and take it some more. Oh, and at the reunion, like I told you, I said to hold it in the back of your mind, remember, about how the show started and just about how I brought up the past stuff, specifically about how Ariana got on the show by getting on Tom when he was still with Kristen, and then was on the reunion that same year. We didn't even know who she was. There was an argument about this girl who was a bus lady at the place, and did you kiss her? No, I didn't. Yes, I maybe. Well, it was a little bit of tongue and a little bit of lip. It was only the top portion of my right half of lip, or whatever he said to try to get out of it. But she got to sit next to Tom at that reunion with Kristen sitting across, full of raw emotions. Kristen didn't want them sitting next to each other, but nobody's made her move. And so that made Kristen and Tom sit up there like, what you gonna do to us? Remember that? So for Ariana to demand Raquel not even have the comfort of Tom next to her for the loosening of her skin from her muscles, they were skinning that girl alive. And then for Bravo to acquiesce and also at this point know that there's revenge porn. So when the reunion was shot, they knew about the revenge porn. They knew that Ariana had sent it. They knew that other people on the cast had it. They knew that Tom had filmed it. He demanded to have it cut out. They acquiesced and then further acquiesced to these people by not even allowing Rachel to sit next to Tom at the thing. You guys! Okay. So nobody stopped the beating. Nobody. She said nobody reached out after she got out of treatment in part 3. She admitted that it was not a traditional workplace, but that's still not an excuse for Andy Cohen to make statements in public about his then employee that she medicates. Was that Andy's right to say repeatedly when asked about Rachel? Oh, just a vague question. Nobody said, does she medicate? He offered that she medicates. And as it turns out, Rachel admitted that she was on antidepressants since the first season she got on the show, you guys. She's been on antidepressants. So that means that Andy, who hearkened her back for more emotional abuse, also knew that she was on medication for antidepressant. What's he trying to do? Cause an episode? They were both talking about, Rachel and Bethany were talking about how they broke HIPAA. And B went ballistic again. And mentioned that she took it like a champ and that she would have left never to be seen again. But then Andy called her back. Why would he have done that, you guys? Andy's a monster. Andy is a little monstrous. I think those things that Nene said, a lot of them might be true. Yeah, might be true. Okay, so, did you guys know that the 3-part reunion after the assault, Rachel was promised a mental health advocate to be present with her because she was actually supposed to go to treatment before the reunion. And they were like, work obligations. So she decided to fulfill her obligation for work and film the reunion. They assured her that she would have a mental health advocate available to her in the trailer while she was by herself, and that they would be present during the entire reunion. Then remember, Rachel had that impromptu conversation with the paparazzi at the nail shop. Well, she feels like because of that talk she had with the paparazzi, that's the reason they punished her and took away and reneged on their promise to have a mental health advocate available. And that's why she was sitting in the trailer by herself, smiling during the reunion, you guys, because they reneged. They just kept putting her in these positions to have her mental health be more damaged, in my opinion. That's an opinion, allegedly. She said straight out that the network was angry. So when she was at the facility, the Meadows treatment facility, when she got there, a peer recognized her and they were like, "Oh, you're on that show." But she hadn't had the phone at the place either because she had been in treatment for a while. So she didn't know all about Scandival, but she knew her from the show. So she ended up telling this peer in the group about Scandival. And that's when the story of her being in the treatment facility finally leaked out. And she thinks it might have been that peer that spilled the beans. But she wasn't sure where the lie that she was in a spa even came from. Nobody came to her to correct it or anything, but she sent her team to contact Bravo and them to say, hey, can you let people know that she's not at a freaking spa? Because she was getting death threats by then, you guys. And so that was just making the death threats worse, obviously. We're threatening you and you're at a spa chilling. That was making shit worse for people to think that she was just like off pampering herself after stealing her alleged best friend's boyfriend. But I really think he groomed her ass. So she asked them to correct the narrative, and they flat out refused to do that also. No one at Bravo followed up with her or checked on her for the entire 90 days she was in there. Not only did they refuse to pay for her treatment, she feels like they don't want the liability because once they pay it, then they'll be like on the hook that you caused it. Now, the reality reckoning was a secret. The interview was a secret. That's why Sheena Shea's date to release her album wasn't the 18th originally. That's why Ariana Maddox's book release date wasn't the 18th initially. Because they didn't know that they were going to have to use that day to steal the shine from Rachel's side of the story getting out. Right? So it was kept a secret. And then they started talking about when Bravo started getting the lawyer letters, the legal letters. And after that, they finally offered her security at where she's staying and services. But the death threats had already been happening for 3 months with being ignored when she reached out for help and out to the FBI. The merchandise of the hate, the Lala send it to Daryl shirt, all were provoked from her cease and desist about the revenge porn, and that Lala selling the shirt made her enough money to buy the house and snake it away from Brooke. Sheena's husband was going to buy the house next door, and instead Lala beat him to it because she got enough money from the selling shirts or something, allegedly. Now Rachel is broke. Her brand is shot. Being the mistress isn't a great brand. Her parents got death threats. The FBI got involved. Overall, she's happy she got treatment. They did in treatment talk about the 3 types of shame, and she doesn't take the hate and the vitriol as it's hers, because if she did, she doesn't know if she would survive. The girls' trip with Lala and them was hard. Remember that girls' trip where we were finally like, oh, and that's the trip where she left and then went and boned Tom when Ariana's was out of town for her funeral thing, right? But she said that was so hard because in that scene, we saw them like she was just having a fun night out, right? They were out, they were at the Paris pump or whatever. Her and Oliver hooked up semi. They made out, had a nice little makeout session. She ate all the food. Then she said that snarky comment. She said that night after cameras left, Lala and the girl came to her and praised her for doing great reality TV. Praised her for doing great reality TV. And then she said she was a little confused when immediately, as soon as the cameras came back on, they went right back to, then it became, oh, I wouldn't trust you this and all that, and she's this. So it was a little confusing, but she knows that they were just doing their job. Now the Graham thing. Okay. Graham has a history of aggression, you guys. And so he couldn't get fostered. He bit her mom to the bone. She couldn't even get stitches. It was so deep. She couldn't even get stitches. And it was either let me come home and take care of my dog, or let me stay in treatment and work on why I'm making these horrible decisions. And so they finally ended up getting him someplace. And when they got him there, they scanned the chip, and the chip had said, "Hey, husband," and the chip had said, "Is that yours? Did I bring that beer? My bad. I thought that was mine. My bad." And the chip showed that it was Raquel Leviis, or Rachel Leviis. And I guess the people knew that it was her and watched the show, and they were like, "Oh, that's the girl from Vanderpump Rules." So then they reached out to Lisa Vanderpump. Unbeknownst to Rachel, who was in treatment the whole time. And the reason she didn't just say call James and give the dog to James was because James was the one that had encouraged Graham to bite ever since he was a baby. He would encourage Graham to bite his hands hecka hard because James is a weirdo and liked the feeling of the dog biting his hands, and would encourage and train Graham to do that. So she could have considered James having the dog bad, but she's like, that fool's the reason the dog bit my mom to the bone in the first place. Just put him someplace else. So Lisa Vanderpump gets involved, and she goes and gets the dogs and takes it to freaking James. She was still in the treatment center, you guys. She ends up finding out from something random. Somebody, I guess she finally got out. And then they were like, "Oh, Graham's filming?" And she was like, "How can that be?" So she said she finally was able to see that Graham was in fact filming Vanderpump Rules with James without her. She said she felt like it was bait to try to get her back on the show. Believe it. I believe it. I believe it. Because that just furthered the narrative of what a horrible person Rachel is, right? You cheat, you lie, you do whatever else everybody does, but now you're a dog dumper. Oh my gosh. You know how the Bravo sphere is very sensitive about their dogs because of Lisa Vanderpump and the Juicy Pussy. I said the wrong word. What was that? Lucy Goosey Apple, Lucy Juicy Lap. I don't know. You know the dog story on on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. The reason Teddy got kicked off the show. Juicy Goosey Lucy or something. The Dorit dog or something. You know, people be going crazy in the Bravo sphere over dogs. So anyway, so that was just making her even a worse person in the eyes of the public. Dog dumping, cheating, whore. So she felt like that. Now, she said that she regrets everything. She would do everything differently. She acknowledged and said straight out that she wants to acknowledge that people were believing in her, and there's broken trust and betrayal and disappointment, even in herself. It was really hurting. She would never do it again. She learned forgiveness, and she wants to help other people, and that she needed to get caught because it was so out of character for her to be doing shit like that. And for so long, it was so against her core values that she realized is being honest. And it was like her rock bottom, getting caught. She would never go back to reality TV. Never, ever, ever. She endured emotional abuse and would never do it again. There was no redemption arc offered for her or allowed for her. She said all this, you guys. These are my notes. She did consider coming back, like I mentioned earlier. She said if she would have got paid the same as Tom and Ariana, and they would have paid for the tuition at the center, then she would have came back, and they refused. She currently has, thank you, husband. She currently has a no contact policy with everyone on the cast. And it was recently shown on Instagram that she's no longer following Tom Sandoval specifically. Now, Bethany asked, is the cast sorry? She said Lala reached out, but she doesn't trust Lala. Who would trust Lala? Like, you told me to get over you smashing my man, then treated me like trash because I did what you do better. And yeah, okay. She has been asked back. So when Lisa Vanderpump, she called Lisa Vanderpump and was like, how did James get Graham? Because and during that conversation, Lisa Vanderpump was like, oh, come talk to me. It would be great. You could come talking to me about Graham. You could. So that's why I believe they tried to use Graham to get her back on the show, because Lisa Vanderpump ultimately ended up saying in the conversation about that, oh, come back. Let's talk about it on film. She did tell Lisa that James was unfit. And Lisa Vanderpump begged her to come back, and all she would have to do is apologize, and it would be great TV, you guys. That's what Lisa Vanderpump said. But Lisa never asked her about her treatment, didn't ask how she was doing or anything. And that's why she feels like that was the bait. Tom has emailed her twice. And Lala and LVP want her back. But the mindfuck of it all, to be begged back after all that abuse, right? And it's only caring about creating a narrative, not her well-being. She's right now currently impassioned about the psychology of herself. There's going to be a podcast coming soon. And the podcast is going to be about the psyche of the other woman, because there's no shows about that. She's right. And of course, Bethany is like, yeah, let's get at it, you know? But she's not coming back to the TV. And she'll just do all of her talking on her podcast. She wants a healthy relationship in the future, but she has houseplants for now. As it turns out, Bethany had flown to Arizona to do the interview in Arizona, so it could be as comfortable as possible for Rachel. And, you know, she admitted that it was hard not to tell her story sooner, but she needed to get treatment, and she stayed quiet, and she's glad she did it. And that is the interview, you guys. Now, I had already dropped the link, but it's been a while. There are some people in the house. I don't know if you guys feel like coming up and talking about it for a minute. But like, I thought those were great questions and a great just conversation. I was pleased that it didn't have a lot of back and forth. A lot about the show. Like, I've rewatched it 28 times. I was really more interested in finding out exactly what she was thinking and her thought process now. Let's get at these comments. Let's see. Okay, very racist. Yep. Sheena admitted she pushed Raquel, but she did not admit that she hit Raquel and threw her phone, which she did. Brandy should have beat Sheena. That's what I'm saying. Somebody should have beat Sheena's ass. And I mean, because there were kids involved in that one. Somebody definitely should have beat Sheena's ass. And then, let's see, Sheena was out of the line. She had no right to hit Rachel. Exactly. She was out of line. I hope Rachel sues Tom for recording her without consent. Me too. And I hope she sues Ariana for sending it to her friends. That was wrong. As a woman, a girl's girl, even if you mad at another girl, why would you send out revenge porn? That's not a good look. What was the object Rachel hurled off the counter in her apartment? What was the object Rachel hurriedly grabbed off the counter in her apartment and hit? Oh, maybe it was a toker or something, because I don't remember her ever toking on the show. But then at the reunion, they were doing a lot of vaping. Did you notice that? So maybe it was something like that. That's revenge. Yep. And people don't even think Tom is that cute. Like, I thought Tom, I like their whole relationship, their vibe. But if this is the kind of stuff he's doing to girls, that's the whole reason I don't even like Jax. I do not like those types of men that just use women. and the woman's always the one that's just ass out. Like, that's just so stupid to me. Yes. Oh my God. That's exactly what I was saying. Yes, he used her. Bonjour, Sarah. I was disappointed in Andy. Yes. And Lisa for not telling the others to lay off her. It was sick. It was sick to watch. And it was just freaking sick. Kai's in the house. Tired of this white woman playing in my face, messing around at least with her co-worker's partner. Come up. Kai is in the house. What's good, Kai?
Wait, y'all are getting it to me. Y'all are getting to me with this. I believe about 15% of what she said. Did I lose?
Well, is that because Lisa Vanderpump said that nobody's believing anything she says? When did that even start?
I am not that. No, that's because she was on a TV show and lying to everyone and having a secret affair for at least 7 months. That's why.
Well, I think she didn't lie to everybody. She lied to Ariana.
She lied to a lot of she was lying to a lot of people for over half a year. I think that is very telling, and that is why I believe about 15%. No one has to tell me about what to think about. No.
Right. I was being cheeky. For me also though, Kai, like she had a really good point in the interview.
And what's
For
that?
5 years, she presented one way. She had 7 months after huge emotional trauma.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, I have had an actual, like what I believe, a form of a psychotic break after a huge breakup. I believe that I had some type of break in me where I acted very strange outside of my normal self for almost a whole year. It was bad. And so I know for a fact that things can affect you emotionally where you have a type of schism and then start presenting in a way that's not your normal character. For 5 years, her character was kind, sweet, caring, trusting, honest, nice, and she was a very smart girl. I don't know why everybody called her dumb either. I mean, she refused to see what James was doing.
She's moving real dumb right now.
Well, I don't know. I feel like she's been...
No, people can put up a facade for a very long time, but regardless, to me, if you're having this massive break in this massive schism, then when you come out of your facility treatment, I expect for you to take more accountability and also lambast the man who, for me, she is not putting enough emphasis on the fact that, for me, the best way out of this is to say, Tom lied to me about the positioning of him and Ariana's relationship. Even if the relationship was bad, even if I wasn't her friend, even though for literally up in the entire season when she was airing and promoting the show, they were talking about being friends and all this kind of stuff. But even if she's just your coworker, even if I thought they were in a bad relationship, it is my responsibility to, even if I had feelings for him, to make sure that he broke up with her before I engaged in anything. And the fact that you are still now seeing that you are mostly upset about the money of it all, which you can be and you have a right to be, but it's not at the stakes of Bravo or anyone else. It's about the fact that you said you were having issues and you need to go to a treatment facility. The hottest time to make that money would have been after the reunion. Instead, you wanted to go to a facility, which is her right, whatever. You come out now, and instead of doing all of this on your own podcast, you didn't drop any merch. There's not even a trailer for your podcast. You say, I'm thinking about doing this. You did not set up yourself for the best financially. And also, let's talk about employee benefits. Did you ask Bravo to reimburse you before or after you decided to go to this facility? And there was questions about you coming back. Because if, from an employee HR perspective, if your behind decides to go to a treatment facility, that is a certain amount, and then you think your company, regardless of what kind of company it is just going to reimburse whatever amount. I need to know more about these conversations if we're going to add this on. And then the fact that you do go to the courts to have this restraining order or whatever, which is her right, it is wild to me that we are sitting here having conversations about the fact that you're saying Tom illegally recorded you. You were able enough to go to court to get this restraining order, but you have not done anything towards Tom. And I need her to explain more about if Ariana sent this or not, because those are big allegations. And then if you were able to go to the courts about Sheena, you should be going to the courts about Tom. But instead, it seems like a lot of her vitriol is going towards the women and not the man who she got in this mess with.
I agree. Like, I feel like she's not giving Tom the business. Like, I feel like he should be getting a lot more of the business. And maybe she's giving him a form of the business that we don't know about. She did not go into more detail about the lawyer and the letter, but she did say that's being handled by her lawyers. So
she said that cease and desist. If you were cognizant enough to go a week later, in a whole different state, to go to get pictures and go to the doctors and all that kind of stuff, because Sheena did X, Y, and Z. The moment I heard
she was assaulted. She wasn't screwing Sheena's down,
I literally just said, if you were cognizant enough to, yes, which also means you should have gone and got that regardless. My whole point is the timing. Once I found out you were able to handle the Sheena thing, and you did that kind of late, once I heard that this man, without my permission, recorded me, I would have been actually handling that. There would have been criminal charges, something would have been happening. But instead, your biggest gripe is that Bravo cut it out. Ma'am, you should have gone to an HR complaint. Well, regardless of, this is not even an HR complaint, because it's also a messy world of reality. Of the fact of the matter, her and this Tom situation was not on the show. So also, a lot of the complaints are weird, because the whole point of like, oh, they exploit me, ma'am. This season was going to be Raquel's redemption season. She was going to be a bad girl, taking back her power. You know, people were lambasting Katie about, you should not be caring about her kissing about Tom, and I didn't really care either. Ariana and Sheena were arriving for her. She was stepping out into her own. This was her redemption season. All this Tom stuff was going on in the background that nobody knows. So all these complaints, I think, of why I also feel like Bethany, and this is very exploitative and not exploitative, that Raquel has set herself up for, is that these complaints do not align with what, generally, not everything, but generally, of what she's complaining about. Because, ma'am, the thing that you did was not on the show, was literally just a part of the last episode and the reunion, and was a big part, but you weren't being praised or being pushed to have an affair with someone who you publicly had stated before this interview was a best friend, a close friend, a friend, and you're sitting here lying about you did not hang out without cameras. That is a bold-faced lie. She is still lying in this interview, trying to minimize her interaction with Ariana. Ma'am, you are close enough friends to where you felt comfortable enough walking up to that woman, asking about her sexual relations with her man, and if she really wants to be in a relationship with him, because she just thinks that if you're in a partnership, you should want to have sex with your partner. She was saying all this crazy stuff now, but now you want to come to us talking about, well, we weren't really close friends, and I was just being rewarded for bad behavior, and when no one knew about this behavior until it was found out on that phone.
Yeah, they would have got away with it.
Yeah,
they would have definitely got away with it.
This would have not come to light if the phone thing didn't happen.
Everything you said is, I like it. I will say that while production may not have coerced her into doing that, that's why she did mention, now she's thinking maybe Tom was setting all of it up, because why did he start befriending her? Why did he start coming for her? Why did he start accepting her? They had never, in previous seasons, they hardly ever even talked, right? Like,
no,
it was just weird.
To me, it's like we're trying to rewrite history. It's weird. When James was on the out with most of the cast, Ariana and Tom stuck by him and stuck by Raquel. And even when James and Raquel were together, if Ariana or Tom thought James was doing something wrong to her, they would stick up for her. So this idea that all of a sudden it's just in this last year he started to get really close to her is a bald-faced lie. They were hanging out. This idea that they were not friends and they did not hang out without camera. You were going to festivals. You were hanging over their houses. You were on their Valentine's date when they couldn't, because obviously one of their friends was talking about they usually go out on a different day because he usually stays for Valentine's Day at the bars. Going out, hanging out with them, you're breaking up this revisionist history, all this kind of stuff is also to me why I can't see her in this. Why her redemption story is not going the way for me personally, not going the way it should, because you are trying to couch too many things, trying to manipulate and lie about too many things to lessen what you did. When, to me, just own what you did and keep it moving. People would have gotten right back. She already has fans. I mean, she has fans. I've seen fans on Twitter. So she's not out there on her own. Ariana even came out before all this stuff talking about, okay, we went a little too far, but also just, I would have aided. If I knew the woman that was up in her face.
Did Ariana say she went too far finally?
Yeah, she been said that. She said that like when the reunion aired. She said that. She's been said that. Lala even said that.
Oh, that's because she wanted those endorsements.
I don't care if it's about the endorsements. What does Rachel want? Because she's complaining a lot about money and endorsements and all this kind of stuff. The whole point is it has already been said.
Like she earned at least as much as Tom and Ariana are getting.
Yeah,
I feel like that.
Again, people are acting like this is not a business. She would have gotten extra money, but the whole point is, ma'am, you are not going to get paid the same amount as someone who's been on since season 1 and season 2, and who have been main characters since season 1, season 2. She has.
So you're saying that since she didn't have the affair on the show, she shouldn't get paid for it?
No, you're twisting my words. I am saying, I think they would have given her a nice bump up in her payment, but the expectation from a business standpoint does not make sense when you have not been a critical player for that long and you really haven't proven yourself because this wasn't captured on the show. You only did the reunion. On the reunion, so you play games with the restraining order, which is her right. We really didn't get that much of her. So to me, she really hasn't shown, and she even said your payment is based off of last season's performance. They are all on their own individual pay scales. She had just gotten on, I think, within the last 5 years. She has just become a main cast member in the title cards in the last 2 years. She was not going to be bumped up to Tom and Ariana's salary regardless. From a business perspective, that was not going to happen. She is not that dynamic. And she does not have a full proven track record. This is a scandal, but things move forward. And to me, he's already shown a history of not being a mainstay. So yes, you would have gotten an extra bump, but still the central characters of this is Tom and Ariana, because they have been the central characters before this for over half a decade before you were even in the picture. So she would have. I think she should have gotten increased. But like, let's also not play like she's
so
having
do you
reality
think
TV.
That
Sorry.
Ariana and Tom should be off the show for circulating revenge porn?
I need proof of this. She's not. Did you go to HR about this? You're just saying this, and again, I believe 50% of what she's saying. To me, what I really think has happened, she saw it.
So
and she might have described. No, she might have described it to people.
No, they did. The other lady said they saw the tape.
That stuff would have been leaked. If that actually happened, that stuff would have been leaked. And also, since we're going to court, you and your Phillips with Bravo, I need her to say, yes, he got it cut out, but I went to Bravo for an HR complaint on him. She didn't say that. I went to the courts to file a civil complaint. She didn't say that. So to me, I cannot go up with this revenge porn when you are not giving me any proof. You're giving me proof about the Sheena. No, because he recorded the video. What does that mean? He's the one who did it.
But she didn't know she was being recorded.
That's the whole point, man.
So he's in trouble and Ariana's about that.
Why is Ariana in trouble when she did not record it?
They already know.
And she is not showing us proof that she sent it to anyone.
She said on camera,
ma'am, I just said I don't believe I believe only 15% of what she said.
But they cut it out. And
again, my whole point is then she needs to actually go to Bravo HR, and also she needs to go to court on Tom. And if Ariana did send this, she needs to go to court on Ariana. Also, part of this is not involved in Bravo, since all of this happened not when they weren't filming at all. She needs to actually handle that, which is also part of my issue. If she's saying she's this massive person, handle your business then. She put her hands on you. You got your restraining order.
So I appreciate your business mind, but why does she have to do it Kai's way for it to be the right way?
It's not Kai's way. It's protecting and standing up for herself way.
But she feels right now that she's protecting and standing up for her. She said that. So why isn't Rachel's way? You brought up the revenge porn
about they should be fired.
No, I'm asking. I really want to know. Do you think Ariana and Tom should have repercussions for circulating that porn?
And my thing is, there needs to be an investigation. So she needs to tell me I asked them to start an investigation. They didn't start an investigation. Where's the proof of this? This is a crime, so it needs to be handled accordingly. And if it's proven they did do that, then they need to be fired.
Yeah. I would say so too.
You're just saying it. I'm sorry. Again, I believe 15% of what you said. I can believe he recorded you without your permission. But I also find it strange that you say you were feeling yourself. You called him. You did the do. And then when you were on Watch What Happens Live getting ready, you said to your hairdresser, I'm ready to face anything. You're on your high. So I don't know if you guys did that or not. Because he also sounded like he had more than that. But regardless, if he did that, and you have proof of person doing it, then people need to be fined and all kinds of things, and then fired.
Yeah.
If it did happen, well, Tom, he needs to be fired. But my point is, instead of you going to Bethany and giving Bethany all this money, you need to go ahead and demand Bravo. Say, here's the proof. He needs to be fired. You need to be going to court and like filing all the things, because that is wrong.
I feel like it was really actually intelligent of her to go to somebody like Bethany, who's so controversial, has so many people's ear, has so many people interested in what she says, and she went to a very relevant source for her interview. I think.
People, the reaction from this interview is not doing well, from the most part.
But it depends on who you ask. Yeah, it depends on who you ask too, because
the general audience, it's not smart. You're working with someone who Bravo seems to have cut ties with. And if Tom and Ariana did those kind of things, then you still need to be in contact with Bravo to get this handled. Then also, it seems like you have not gotten anything from this except for bring out your point. But then you also have someone who's interviewing you who has an agenda for proving their own point that does not really enmesh with yours. And also now you're saying you have a podcast. I would have helped this for my own podcast, or I would have gone to People, Vanity Fair, all the other people to start my first, main, like, I'm coming out. I would not do this for someone who has soured her reputation with a lot of Bravo viewers and Bravo executives.
Oh, wow. Emmanuel's in the house.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing? Good, what is your POV? I'm so glad you got to come through. I was looking for you. What's the POV?
Well, first of all, this is being handled accordingly, because if you read the lawsuit letter that was filed against Embassy and Bravo, they do mention the revenge porn, so it is being taken care of. You know what, Curves? I cannot believe just the amount of hate of social media, other YouTubers that they've been giving this interview. Like, we are a society that's supposed to be so tolerant. You can choose your gender, you can choose how you identify, you can choose whatever the hell you want to. But then when you want to share your side of the story and your feelings, all of a sudden it's a problem. And so many people I've heard also on social media have been saying, like, why would she go with Bethany? Bethany's exploiting her. Oh, so now all of a sudden y'all care about Rachel?
Right, like you care who exploits her.
Exactly. So I'm glad she did the interview. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really insightful, and I do believe everything she says because she doesn't really have anything to lose. I'm glad she's not going back to the show. I think the show is going to be a flop, because what are they going to talk about? They're all talentless. None of them have talent. They're not that interesting, and the show was about to be canceled anyway. So without her being there, I mean, what? And Ariana, I don't know if you saw this. There's a video of her being super close with Tom already. You know? So it's like,
I wouldn't be surprised if they end up back together.
Oh,
and that would make me believe Rachel even further, that maybe it was all a plan. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. I don't know. But wouldn't that have been plotted if they were like, picked her because they saw her as the weakest and the neediest? And then she was like, oh yeah, she can come around. And then Tom's like, yeah, and then I'm going to bone her, and then it's going to be a scandal. And then we're going to break up, and then we're going to get back together and be stronger than ever, babe, and go make some babies with the eggs.
Yeah.
Is she not in her late 20s and full of mind? She's not under conservatorship. This could be a whole plot, and her dummy behind self then still sat up and did this, and is not blaming, not really lambasting him the way it should be done. Right. I am like what a year or two younger than her. This is insane that we're making excuses for this. This is insane. And acting like she's just like completely and totally and absolutely helpless.
I think for me, the problem, it's not like I'm not justifying what she did, and I actually think she's taken accountability from day one. Like she's always said, I was wrong, I was selfish, I know what I did was wrong. I guess my problem with it is how the aftermath of it, and how all of a sudden Ariana is a shero, and she's on The View, and she's on the Today Show, and she's getting all these deals as if she solved world hunger, and I don't know, just the mob mentality.
She didn't even ever work with disabled children. At least freaking Raquel, when she was being a pageant person, used to want to help disabled children. Ariana's not even doing that.
Used to want to help, and then said because she's not in pageants, she's aged out, she doesn't have to put up a facade anymore. Didn't she say when she broke up with James last season she wasn't going to come back, she's going to go live her life and go to school and da-da-da, but instead she came back with making out with people and having secret affairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what she did.
And also, let me say this. James is a piece, he's trash. And
he's trash.
I love LVP, but I think she enables him. I think
she does.
Yeah, she's wrong with that.
And Tom too.
Yeah.
But the Tom and James thing is interesting to me because at least Tom, for a point, which first of all, it's always surprising to me how many people went up for him because I saw him from season 1. He has this weird jealousy towards women, and even though I didn't like Stassi, it was very clear that he saw you can say they're talentless or not, but in this era of social media, like everyone has their niche. It is clear that he saw like a market for them, because I will never forget when Ariana, remember that season Ariana was approached to do a cocktail book because she's actually the one who does the cocktails, and he was so upset, this is my thing and how could you, and da-da-da, and she just like broke down and like let him do it with her. There's always been this innate jealousy and kind of like envy when it comes to women in a weird sense, so I don't know why anyone ever went up for him. But with LVP, it was that Tom was useful in the fact that, some people liked him. He had to stick with the other Tom for it to be marketable for her to do other things. With James, I think it's just slowly like her whole like broken bird syndrome that she has going on. Because if you look at it, like James hasn't really done much. Then like he has like, I guess, a see you next Tuesdays, but she was up to take those away from him when she needed to. So the James is like, it's really like a broken bird thing, and Tom, it's a like a useful like a utility situation. I find interesting between those two.
Yeah, I think Tom is definitely weird. I mean, didn't his mom give him like her retirement? Was that her who she gave him all that money for the restaurant? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the whole retirement.
Right. And I do think there's something about him that maybe he is a manipulator. Like maybe he was planning all this because, like, let's keep it real. How many stories have we heard of like adult people who are lured into cults and all that stuff? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. I give him manipulative, and I would lay most of it on like it. But also, I don't want to like take autonomy from her being a grown woman. He's manipulative, but in this case, it's like you have close enough connection to the other partner to where you can look and see what's going on.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, right there. Let's pause. So as a person that saw the relationship for 5 years, and as a viewer that saw the relationship for the same 5 years that you saw it, she said they weren't in a like relationship. Like it was apparent to the people on set that there was something up in their relationship, that it wasn't like all coupley. I think that was the word she said. And so she said also that she listened to him and he said this stuff and she went ahead with it, but she still doesn't believe that even she did that because it was still out of character for herself, just period. So why would we have to continue to... He was the one in the relationship with Ariana.
Yes.
He was the one who was living with Ariana, who bought a house with Ariana, okay, so if that was Ariana's best friend, he's the one who got with Ariana's best friend. He's the one who seduced Ariana's best friend.
And
basically.
she is still then
The one
Ariana's
that
best friend.
seduced it. He
Like,
seduced Ariana's best friend. So also,
what is this?
Ariana needs to be madder at Tom too, because why is she so mad at Rachel? She's the one in the relationship with Tom.
And she's
She was
also,
always,
are
she
we
always
acting
came
like
off.
friendships are not
No, I'm
relationships with
saying,
people?
oh my God. What I'm saying is that when it all came out, what we saw of it anyway, it appeared that she was far more enraged at Rachel than
No.
Tom, even on the show. Just telling Tom, I want you to die, and then living with him for 6 months. That's not your actions. You're lying, lady.
But they're
You're
saying that they
lying.
were screaming
So
for
if
2+
anybody I don't
hours
believe,
in that
at this
scene.
point, if anybody I don't believe, I think it's Ariana and Tom. Because how are you still living
Oh
together
God, so
6
we don't
months
switch this
later?
around.
I didn't. Yeah, I'm thinking further. I'm going further. I'm going to go on a
No,
rabbit
you
hole,
mean
you
a
guys.
house
Look,
in
why
California, the
are they
marketing?
still living together? Tom and Katie sold their house and moved on. Why are they still
Tom and
living
Katie were
together?
still paying for the
Why
Exactly.
mortgage
are
of
they
that house
still?
for a while.
That's a very valid question. Why are they? But it's longer than
That
a
is a
while.
valid
Why
question,
are
but
they
you
still
left that
living
with her
together?
having to be more mad at Tom when she should be mad at
Yes,
both of
because
them
if
because
she
both
was,
of them had a
that's
relationship with
not what's
her.
matching. If you're so done with somebody that you don't want to film with them, but then you go home to the same house they at every night, really?
Yes,
Really?
because they're both on the house.
Okay.
She can't just sell the house by herself. And also, you
So,
lose some legal
I don't
leverage
want
if
to
you
see you at
abandon the
work.
house.
I'm not going to film with you at work, but you will have the key to the same docile. Really?
That's in my name as well. Yeah. I don't understand like what were we acting like how adults and housing and stuff move.
That's
It's
crazy.
not smart to
That's what's
abandon the
crazy.
house, and both of
How
them
can
have
you
to agree
not
to
want to
sell it.
film with somebody you currently have an address with?
Girl,
That's what's crazy.
he's doing all kinds of twists and knots just to make sure that this little girl who's 28,
Well,
going
I'm just
almost to
looking at
30,
the crazy
has no
everywhere.
responsibility for her actions.
I feel like she took accountability, and that's the other thing. If
You
we want
don't
to
take
go all
accountability when you're trying
etymology,
to reframe what you did by trying to make it seem less than. Well, we weren't really friends. I wouldn't have done this if the relationship was serious.
she was, and that's
She
another
was saying
thing. She
all
was
this
asked a
dumb,
very specific question by
and she
Bethany
said very specific
around the
things.
friendship. She was asked a
And now
very
she's claiming she
specific
was never
question,
friends.
but
Right.
she was
And
asked a question about it. It's not like she just came on and was like, "Well, I was at the treatment
No,
center,
if I
and by
asked
the
you
way,
about the
she's
best
not my
friend,
friend."
you could still say we weren't best
Whatever.
friends, but we were friends, and that was wrong for me to cross that line with a friend and
She
or a
said it the
coworker.
way she
You don't
said it,
pretend
though.
like you
Why
were
is
never
everybody
close.
so mad?
and you know
Why is
what?
You
it
don't pretend
You
like
know
you guys
what?
were never close and you didn't hang out off the show when there's clear
What's up,
images of you
Emmanuel?
hanging out all season, all year long without the show filming at all. You don't
No,
lie
Right.
about that.
look, listen. Because I get what you're saying, Kai. Like, she is 28. Personally, I'm 20. And I think I'm even too old to be doing dumb things. I get that. But I think that why she's saying we really weren't best friends is because they've been trying to create narratives that are fake to make the situation look even more screwed up
Worse.
than what it is.
Yeah.
And she's saying a narrative to make it look like less. You're saying now you guys were never friends and you didn't hang out at all if you weren't filming, when that is a lie. You were hanging out when you weren't filming. And you literally said, oh, we weren't friends, but we were coworkers who turned into friends. So, okay, you weren't best friends. You were friends then. That is still wrong, but you are still trying to contextualize it like you guys weren't close at all to make it seem less bad.
You know how?
Because there is a little less badness if you're not
what's
friends at
true?
all. There's a
You know
little less.
how,
We're not
like,
going to act like there's a little less
people
badness
have
if you really aren't friends.
associates, people have friends, and you can think somebody is. People can think you are more to a person based off of how you interact in front of them than you really are to that person. They can think, oh, they must know each other really, really well, because what we see on the show is them laughing and them drinking all the time.
You know what I
we
see off the show is them hanging out off the show and spending time together, going places, or just hanging out in the house.
So
what I hear from other people around them is hanging out together, going on trips.
I understand. Was it any time, though, that it was spent without Tom there?
Yes.
Did they spend time
Yes. We have
together
seen
without
Ariana and
Tom.
Raquel spend time together. They have been on their own social media, just hanging out, just the two of them. And if she was just hanging out with Ariana for Tom, that means that was more intention and you getting close to her to get to her man. Because now you are hanging out with Ariana without Tom, asking her about her relationship. I would not be asking someone who I'm not friends with or close to, not even acquaintances with, about her sexual relationship with her partner, and if she still wants to be with him. This is insane.
If I had been smashing that person the whole time and they had been telling me, oh, it's over, it's over, it's over, but she's over there looking
We want another
mighty happy, I would definitely ask to see if he was lying to me.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
But the whole point is you're trying to act like they were never friends now. Like, oh, it's just for TV. This is crazy.
You know
but so that still makes it evil. It makes it evil.
Linda, listen.
It is evil.
Sheena and Brandy were not friends. Sheena and Brandy were friends, and she got asked. Sheena and Brandy were not friends, and she got asked.
And there was a clear understanding about her being the mistress. There was an understanding that one person, Ariana, thought we were at least friends, and you come to my face with care, trying to act like you're invested in my relationship, but really you're his mistress, and you want to know if he's telling you the truth. That is evil. If you're coming to me and you know I don't know that you're sleeping together, and you're asking me about if I'm sleeping with him or not, because you know you're sleeping with him. That's evil. That's Machiavellian. Like, what is this? That means you are still operating in a sense of being purposely misleading and devious and withholding information that is pertinent, like sexual history, pertinent. See, this is wild and crazy. You know, you're around this girl, and literally that season they're talking about how she is so upset with him because he won't stop drinking to go ahead and freeze his sperm because she's already done her eggs. But now you want to come to me about, oh, is he sleeping with you? Like, this is. I mean, like, where are we going? Where are we going with this?
Well,
we're going to the place where why are they still living together if it's all what you just said? Go ahead, Emmanuel.
Sorry, yeah.
I was going to say, for the people who are, so against cheating, why don't they have the same energy to Lala, who cheated on James while he was with Raquel?
Jesus. Yeah.
Okay, let's handle this, because I also feel like Raquel thing just happened. It's going to be harsh. It's going to be nasty. When Lala came on and was doing all this bragging, she was getting called her names. She was being disrespected. She was being belittled because, girl, why are you going around here bragging about this stuff? The cast did it. The audience did it. So they all get their time when they do something wrong. Now to say, yes, social media is on a different plane than it was those years ago, but we are not going to pretend like people weren't being backhanded slap when cheating was found out. People weren't being called prostitutes and whores and saying that they deserve dildos with acids and needles stuck in them to use. We're not going to pretend like they were not being handled when they were found out to be doing things. Sheena was ostracized for years from the main group because of what she did. So let's not pretend like the cast or the audience has not held people accountable. But the cycles move. If she would have stayed on, people, and even regardless of staying on, people will move on. This idea that when it's fresh and when people just found out while they're watching, especially since this was not on the show and this was something that you were already doing things on the show, which, whatever. But to find out you were purposely hiding this stuff. When you were in Mexico, you were kissing and sneaking and sexing. When you were hugging Ariana about the dog, they find out that same night was when the first time you guys slept. All this kind of stuff, the block is going to be hot. The block is going to be hot.
She could do it because she wasn't Ariana's close friend. That's what I think.
Okay, then we should not be, because this is insane. This woman has lied to everyone for over half a year, and all of a sudden she comes on this interview, and everything she says is golden and Bible.
No,
everything she says now is golden and Bible.
That it's obvious that
it's really
she
not.
was not her friend.
It's not obvious when you're asking about my sex relationship. It's not obvious when I'm going to support you at your pageants, when only me and my partner and our other close friend are the only people going to support your pageants when they're on the show and when they're not on the show.
Her pageants and brought his girlfriend to support his side.
This is how we're recontextualizing everything. Just everything that was, that means that this was going on for longer. So that means everything she did that was getting her close to Ariana was really to be close to Tom, and that way they could go ahead and mask everything. That means this is evil.
Maybe Tom was making himself available to be
I can't
around
have this
every
conversation because
time.
it feels too disingenuous.
Okay.
We playing games. If they're not friends, they're coworkers, and I dare my
I
coworker
just
to be
don't
in my
have to
face
think. I don't
all
have
the
to.
time and be
I don't
sleeping with
have
my
to
man.
think or see things the way everybody else
You
thinks and sees
don't.
things.
We don't have to be
I
disingenuous.
can think and see things the way that I
Mhm.
want to, and I'm completely right. I'm completely right.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Kai, you're completely right.
I know we
And
cut
I
this
already,
down.
so I started this whole thing talking about the power of a mind. And I specifically was relating it to body dysmorphia and how strong your mind is, where you can believe that you're either this too fat or you can believe that you're too thin. And the power of your mind will make you see what's not there or there. And so that's just an example of this right here, because you have your clear, obvious, passionate perception where you're willing to call my whole own perception like ludicrous, basically,
I don't think
because
it's
it
ludicrous. I think
doesn't
some parts are
match
disingenuous.
yours. It doesn't, but it's all genuine to me. It's all genuine to me because I'm a genuine fucking human. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is genuine and authentic, my POV. What I'm saying is just that. So, and that's just the power of a mind. And I love seeing how powerful all of our minds are, that we can even banter like this, discuss like this. We keep our civility. We're still respectful. We all still love each other. And we can all like take this entertainment without the scripted TV now to distract me, and have long conversations about it and dissect whether or not a liar told a lie in an interview.
I have a question for both of you. So where do you think she will go now, or where do you think she should go now? Like, what's her next moves? And I guess I'm gonna frame it and like basically, obviously, like monetary value, and I guess like protecting herself. I guess in those two main categories.
Wait, I'm in here. I'm on my lap, baby. Go ahead, Emmanuel. What do you think she should do next?
I mean, to be honest, I really don't care much for her. I really don't care about the cheating or if they were friends or if they weren't. What I care about was what she had to endure and all the cyberbullying and the threats and the harassment and the verbal assassination that she went through in that reunion. That's what my problem was with it, because what would have happened if she just wouldn't have been able to take it and she would have offed herself? What would have happened then? You know? So I don't know what she should do, but I hope that what she does in a good mental space and that she won't be judged any longer. I feel like she's paid for the crime, and I feel like at this point it's overkill.
I feel just what you said too, and that's been kind of why I have this much compassion for her, because on a show where this is literally, and it's not an excuse, it's a motherfucking fact. Everybody on this show does it. She is the only person to get it this bad. The only person to get it this bad. And that is true. So I'm not sure how even people can further justify her treatment needing to continue somehow.
Right.
Where it's...
And I was going to say, based off what she said from the interview, and I might be wrong, and again, this is not justifying it, I feel like if she had never been on the show, she probably would have never done something like this. But when you're in an environment, like, you know what they say, if you're with three idiots, you're probably the fourth one. So if she's being around a bunch of cheaters, she's going to become a cheater too.
I think I can see, I'm not going to fully blame the show, but I can see basically like I can believe her in the sense that like this need to feel special or to feel like she fits somewhere from her background, of the fact that like she will be a chameleon in a sense to her environment.
Well, I don't know what she'll do next, but I too hope she continues on this journey. Like she was inside, wasn't she like doing something psychological before when she was in school? So hopefully she'll continue on that. And I want to hear what she ends up doing with Bethany. I want to know what happens with this case. I want to know what happens with Graham. And because about furthering the narrative, about continuing to punish her, that as soon as Graham was back on, the IG was flooded with, oh, she da 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 about Rachel, bad stuff about Rachel because James had Graham. And then there was even a clip of the upcoming season or something, and they're filming together, and he's freaking with Graham, and they were filming at the beach or something like that, like. And they were like, oh, you didn't like your other mommy anyway, or something like that happened. I don't know, but it's weird.
He's gonna do that. No, he's gonna do that, and they're gonna film if he has the dog back. I can get the sense of, for me personally, at the reunion, it wasn't too much. It's reunion. I enjoy Candace. People go in, and it was real close. It was real close. But I can understand that. I do. To me, this is the point where. Like, it's not on the beach nest of her castmates, because if, in this case, if it's Jeannie or not, the cast, well, I would say, who is it? The ones who went in, what's her name? Ariana and Lala have said their little piece or whatever, and haven't really spoken much about her. So in this regard, I think she should leave those in the past. If you're not going to go back to the show, I think the only connection you should have to it is, also this lawsuit, because Bethany told another influencer about it's not a case. So that part confuses me. But regardless of like her handling how like the company itself, if there's anything wrong there, I think she could leave the castmates behind and be able to build her own path forward. That way, the audience just gets to know her by herself, and that way it will separate her association to that time in her life. Instead, if she continues to talk, I think she should just gear it more towards her life and what she's doing next. If she does do the podcast about mattresses, then she has to know then that this is going to stick a bit more, and it will be more cemented in her public persona. If she does,
she started the interview off saying that she realized that one of her core values is honesty, and that she had, till this huge thing, been a very honest person in her life. And when we look back at the show, she didn't really get to talk a lot for herself. She didn't always get all her words out, I felt. And then people would label her stupid, label her whatever. I want her to keep talking. I want her to talk loud. I want her to say whatever she wants to whoever she wants to say it to, whenever she feels like it. I need her to get all of her words out. So, because these other people have been making memes of her, making money off her, doing all this stuff at her expense. And so I agree that making it so that she can maybe show who she is, that could work. And wherever she chooses to do that, even if she decided to if they paid her some astronomical fee and she decided to come back to the show because James was finally going to say he's sorry, and Tom was going to be getting taken away in handcuffs, and Ariana was going to be, maybe she'll have to be there for the court. So when they have to all go to court, because she does have to go to court because it was revenge porn or something like that. I don't need her to stay away from them. I think it's healthy for her to stay away from them. Yeah. But I also want her to be allowed to show up wherever she wants. Because if they're dusting off Jax, Kristen, and Stassi, then she literally can be, she's allowed any fucking place she wants to be. And so should Nene.
Oh, sorry, my window's open. I agree with that. It's just, my point is then, you speak your truth, but know that people can react to your truth. So, I'm just saying that I don't really know if you want things to calm down. I'm just saying that path I'm not fully sure if you're going to talk in this way and not just handle the business that needs to be handled accordingly. But if the revenge be, well, from Todd's perspective, it seems to happen, and whoever else is involved, handle that, whatever. So that's what I mean by that. I just kind of if you want to get into that cycle, then she does have to be abreast to that. Some audience members might not like it, or she might, or the drama that she feels like is going on now might continue as the only thing. So to me, it's just kind of if you want to do that, just you have to move smart. Use your voice, just move smart.
Yeah. And let me just say this, because I feel like regardless of what you think of Rachel or whatever, I think we can all agree that that person who leaked that she was in that mental health facility needs to be fired. Because
but the person who leaked it was the person who's at the facility. That's where it kind of
thought it was a peer.
Yeah, that was at the facility who was just leaving. To me, then you need to go to the facility and tell them to handle that. That's not on behalf of Bravo. That's the facility and the patient who signed the contract.
The facility, because I thought
okay.
I thought, if I'm not mistaken, I remember there was some place, and it might not have been the mental health facility, it might have been somewhere else. They posted a picture on Instagram and then captioned it with the Vanderpump Rules theme song lyrics. So it led people to believe that she was there, but I can't remember what that place was.
I get that, but if it's not someone at Bravo, then we have to untie these things of kind of this being a show and a business that's a part of their lives, and then people being able to be on social media and make things and run with things. So to me, if that happened, then she needs to get her lawyer to find the user, find the IP address, and handle them.
Yeah,
but I don't really know how much she's going to handle if they.
Yeah, she might also want to look into that HIPAA violation, because I don't know if your
that's
boss
not how that works.
You're medicated.
That's not how that works. That's not how that works.
No, the HIPAA for Andy saying she was medicated, knowing that she was on antidepressants when you started the show.
First of all, we don't know for knowledge if he knew that. And second, that's not how HIPAA works. HIPAA is for your healthcare providers, not your employee. I'm pretty sure there's another law for that, but it's not HIPAA. HIPAA is for healthcare providers having the duty of keeping their patients' confidentiality for healthcare providers. That's not your employer, unless your employer is at the same time your healthcare provider. But in this case,
it's just a breach of personal privacy. Then
it could be
not
that
full on HIPAA.
Yes, and you have to prove
Simone and Dr. Jackie violated HIPAA.
That was violation
because they're healthcare providers. Yes.
Yeah, that was.
It was Dr. Simone who broke HIPAA. Dr. Simone was her presiding OBGYN. That was her doctor, was Dr. Simone. And that all got blamed on Dr. Jackie.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not pretend Dr. Jackie didn't say something real harsh, but yes.
The HIPAA part only, though. You know what I mean? We didn't even find out till after the season that Simone had anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Never even brought it back up.
I do think Dr. Jackie was she was sorry for saying that.
Yeah, she definitely was. Well, you know what, you guys? It is Saturday night. It's only 9:16 here in California. Hurricane Hillary is supposed to touch down tomorrow, Sunday, right? I'm in Northern California, so the sky was blue up here today. Everybody's okay so far.
Okay,
they said that it might be some catastrophic flooding, though, in Southern California. And if it gets too big, then it could touch my area up here in Northern California.
Wow.
But, how do you really prepare for a Category 4 hurricane in a place that's never had a tropical storm warning, and we just had our first one? We're earthquakes. Don't give us freaking, we don't have basements. We don't have a basement to go to. You know what I'm saying? We're not equipped. We are not equipped for this kind of wind stuff. So we'll see what happens. God is great. So just pray for the people, though, because, it's coming. It already was supposed to be doing something in Mexico, Baja, coming up through Northern California, and then headed towards Nevada foothills. So Yeah, pray for the people, you guys. But I want to thank you, Kai. Always love when you come up, girl.
I know.
Do you have a YouTube channel or anything yet?
Everyone, no, I don't. I feel like y'all be making me feel like I should, but I don't. I will.
Yeah, well, whenever you get one, come let us know. We'll always share
Yeah,
you.
you
No
should.
worries. Oh, Sherelle. Yeah, Sherelle is in Vegas and said they may have to evacuate in Vegas. Oh, no, I have
Really?
to check on Tani. Tani was in here earlier. She didn't mention that. Let me text her and make sure she's okay.
Oh, God, climate change, people. Ugh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they're like, it doesn't exist.
Mm.
Now tell that to the polar bears, right? And Emmanuel, you have a channel. Tell the people where to find you for your awesome POV.
Y'all can find me in Manny's TV Talk. I just uploaded Love and Marriage Detroit, and I also did a little deep dive into the Kenya Moore interview with Carlos King because I think she might not be coming back next season.
Oh, I hope
Based
she
on
doesn't
what I
come
heard.
back next season.
Yeah, she's getting fired. In my that's my guess.
Oh, I would love to find out. I would love to find out. Well, and I'm LRGA Curves. I hope you enjoyed this robust conversation as I love to have. And I would love to hear your thoughts. So on your way out, smash my buttons, ring the bell so you can get notified. And hey, we'll talk about it some more in these YouTube streets. You guys be wonderful to yourselves. Have compassion and grace with you guys. Because then you can have a little for me when I fuck up. Okay? So talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, Curves, everyone.
Okay, have a good night. Thanks for coming up.